This is a video from Chris's Central Station. I've decided to do this one because we've been setting all these trains up for photography, and we're probably going to publish a book. But I thought that being Australian, and many of my viewers are from overseas, I thought you might like to look at some rakes of basically Australian type wagons, not passenger ones, behind Australian engines. Now you will have seen most of these. The only new ones we've got is this diesel here, 40 class diesel. We've got a Ferris diesel, quite good nick that one. You should recognise the 30 class, the Robilts. But behind that we've got something. That's two Lionel Hogwork mechanisms with a Hornby body to be a Bayer Garrett. And I've had that specially made for me by Craig Deacon. And Craig, apart from running a steam railroad, model railroad, built 3801's nose cone, the new nose cone. So a real claim to fame. So he's modelled that. I've said that much detail. So we'll just briefly look at some of these things. Commonwealth Oil was Nunes, which you'll see a video about Nunes. I did that layout a couple of years ago. Cliffs and Gorges. It went broke because Standard Oil sold their kerosene at half price, making a loss in the 1920s, and ran them out of business. Behind that we've got some old petrol companies. Atlantic, of course, turned into Esso. Power Chief, as you can see. And I don't know what Core was. If you have a look at this black carriage here with all the see-through it, that's a sheep carriage. And according to my family history, my grandfather invented the false floor for that, so that when the sheep do their business, they don't lie in their business. It falls through and you can wash it out. Don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what the family history says. And we've just got various models. Most of these were made in Australia. As you can see, Shell was obviously very big, but also they're good for modelling because they're yellow. You can see that red one over there is typical of sort of France's Vigette, or just pronounced that wrong and I can't think of it. But that was a Victorian. In fact, we didn't have those in New South Wales. Golden Fleece, which I think is a magnificent name for petrol. It was great when you saw the Golden Fleeces lit up at neon at night. I think Craig Deacon made that blue one too, I'm not sure. We've got lots of Ferris. Most of these are Ferris or Robilt. The cranes are quite nice. I've sort of tried to do that with the flat carriage, the cranes facing backwards, the workman's car that goes with each one. I didn't have enough guards vans, unfortunately. And of course, Peters was a famous ice cream company in Australia, and obviously dry ice would be packed into that. The ice creams would go out to the country towns where they wouldn't have ice cream, and of course the kids would love it. Pennant was another kerosene maker here that we had. I don't know too much about it. But you can see, now some of you may be wondering, what are those low sort of semicircular wagons behind two of the engines? Well, they're water gins. And especially now, if you run any steam train, you have to run one of those behind the engine because there's no water facilities anymore. But older days, when they went out west and it was very dry, there might be drought, so often the engines would carry their own water with them. And of course, obviously right behind the engine. I've tried to do the right thing here by making sure that there's no fuel tank next to an engine. There's always one wagon between that and the engine. I believe that was a safety measure. So I've tried to emulate that in this little layout. So this is really just a whole lot of trains that you'd see in Australia in the 20s, 30s, 40s and 50s. The engine at the front there, the diesels came in the 60s, and of course not soon after we lost all the steam. But lovely bunch of colours, a really good display of Australian products. Some of them of course are handmade, some of the ones are handmade, but I think nearly everything is made in Australia here. So I hope you enjoyed it. This was just a brief one so you could see what a whole lot of goods wagons would look like in an Australian railway goods yard. Thanks for watching. See you next time.